Welcome to Off the Cuff. I'm AB. I'm a child advocate, and I love working with young people. I've been working with young people for a long time. I had Moses in my class once upon a time, and this is my friend Joy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joy Winchester. I do educational neuroscience, and we will jump into the neuro behind some pretty hot topics.
Now, before we get started, we want to make sure that you subscribe, share it with somebody, share with some counselors, social workers, anybody who works with young people, your guardians, parents, even. And you maybe want to share it with your uncle, at the barbecue that has all the great advice. Share it with them too.
So don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, click the button, do the
All that
thing,
stuff. Yeah.
all the things, and let's
And
dive
here
in.
we go. So what we want to talk about today is it's going to be tough. Hypocrisy amongst us adults. As adults, we set the tone, but a lot of times we want more out of the people that we serve, the young people that we serve, than we're willing to actually abide by on ourselves. And then that word hypocrisy comes up. It's a tough one, but it is something we need to talk about. Do as I say and not as I do. So I'm reminded of this story about a parakeet. And this guy owned a parakeet and he had it in his apartment. And the gentleman came home and he loved going out to dance and all that kind of stuff. So he's playing some music and he screamed out, "Get down, baby!" And so the parakeet says the same thing, "Get down, baby!" And he was like, "Man, this is really cool." So he introduces the bird to his friends. And his friends come over and they start dancing and having a good time. And the parakeet yells out, "Get down, baby!" And it was a big hit. So he decides to take this bird to the club. I'm talking DJ's Joy. I'm talking having a great time. And the music started playing and the people started dancing. And the bird yells out, "Get down, baby!" And everybody's like, "Wow, big hit." Go home. The guy's like, "Man, I'm going to get up early, go to church tomorrow morning." He gets ready to go to church. And as he gets ready to walk out the door, the bird says, "Hey, wait a minute. Hey, I need to talk to you about something." He's like, What? And the bird's like, "Look, man, I want to go to church with you." And the guy was like, "You got to be kidding me." He's like, "No, I really do. I want religion as well." And he's like, "Okay, all right. Well, I'll take you on one condition. You don't say 'get down' in the middle of church." And the bird was like, "Okay, cool." So he gets in the middle of the church and the preacher starts preaching and the choir starts singing and the place just goes in a really awesome place. And the bird yells out, yep, you guessed it, "Get down, baby," right there in the middle of the church. The man was so embarrassed he raced to get the bird outside. And when he gets the bird outside, he said, "I thought you promised me you wouldn't say that in church." And the bird looks right at him in the eyes and says, "Why not? It was the same people that were at the dance club last night." Hypocrite. Hypocrisy. Sometimes we forget the young people that we serve. We've been there, we've done that, we wrote a book about it, and some of us still ride with some of that stuff ourselves. What do you think, Joy?
I think when we look at kids, the brains are when you're born, your brain is not developed, right? And it literally looks to the world to see what skills it needs, what strengths, what does it need. And if you don't model those, that baby's brain won't pick it up. And in
Mm.
fact, there's a whole bunch of skills called executive functioning skills that have to be modeled. And it's impulse control, paying attention. It's even things such as shifting task and remember where you parked your car when you go into Walmart. Those things, that organization even is there. Those things are taught but to the brain by the child watching with these special cells called mirror neurons.
Mm.
And so if you don't show it, they can't learn it. And in fact, when we try to teach it, but we don't show it, it fails miserably. We have a joke in education, and it's probably not the nicest joke, but it's you meet a kid and you're sure it's an IEP, and you meet the family and you're like, never mind, it's an apple tree problem, right? Because if the parents don't have the skill, the child most likely is not going to have the skill. Um, because that child's brain looks to the adults, the successful adults in its life, to see what skills it needs.
Mm.
So this is why do as I say, not as I do,
Mhm.
doesn't work well. Also, here's something else.
Mhm.
Kids don't listen to what you say. Let's just be all honest. They watch everything you do. So a lot of times I'll meet kids who cuss, And the parents are like, I just don't know where they got that. And I think to myself, well, I'm using Urban Dictionary to figure out if it's a compliment or a cuss word and if I can use it in my next argument with my husband, right? And like, what is it? And they're like, well, I just don't know where they got it. Well, they got it from hearing it from people they admire, they look up to. And, sometimes they pick those words up and we may not want to admit it. I had a cute friend had a 2-year-old daughter, and every day the friend hit a railroad track too hard, and with the little girl in the back seat, and the friend cussed, and the little girl said it fluently, beautifully, just every letter pronounced perfectly. And so every time they hit a railroad track, the little girl would cuss. And so she called me and she said, I need your help. She's like, on Sunday, we're picking up the pastor and taking him to lunch, and we're going to go over railroad tracks. And I can't have this 2-year-old child in the back just cussing like a sailor because it's something she learned from me. And I think that's really interesting. What you're saying is when kids can't trust the adults to act the way that they're expected to act, that starts to create what we call cognitive dissonance. I know what I should do, but no one else in my life is doing it. We have to be the person we want that child to be.
Ooh,
Teachers,
ooh.
parents, grandparents. And this may mean we have to break our own generational cycles. Hey, you got a minute? Because that's all the average American has is 1 minute. Our attention spans are so short that we really don't have time to focus on anything else. But here's what's crazy. We know more about how our cell phones work than our brains work. But who has time to dive deep into neuroscience? You do. 1 minute a day. Dive in. Just, hey, you got a minute. Neuro Minutes to Microdose Neuroscience. Grab a copy. Change your life 1 minute a day.
And go and get the book. It's awesome. I was growing up. If you want to give me permission as an adult, as a parent, as a mentor, if you want to give me permission to do something, let me see you embody that within yourself. Now, it's one thing to tell me, hey, listen, don't go smoke this, don't go smoke that, don't go do this, don't go do that. And I don't even abide by those same rules and regulations because the kid is ready to challenge you. They're ready to say, well, you didn't do it. Well, you don't do it, And growing up, one of the things that I was always told by adults was always, you just do what I tell you to do. Why? Because I said it? Well, wait, is that an excuse? I mean, is that really the way that I don't think that I just do it just because you do it, because as soon as you leave, then I'm going to do what you were doing. I had a student that was telling me that they don't have a problem drinking, that their parents have a problem drinking. I was like, what do you mean? You're the one that got caught. He's like, yeah, but they brought the liquor in the house. So I'm not nothing against liquor, of course. People do what they want to do. But I do think that we need to just go back and look at those small things and make sure that we're abiding by those same values that we're telling these young people to live by.
The brain's always recording. The brain's always learning. It never stops. So that's the piece is, let's say you have a bad moment and you cuss. Let's say you have a bad moment and you drink too much. Let's say you have a bad moment and you are on your phone too much. That is actually, what we're seeing now is adults on their phone so much and kids are picking up that habit. But the best thing to do is then to acknowledge and say, look, I shouldn't have said that. That was wrong. That's not the expectation I have for you. That's not the expectation I have for me. Now, that steps a lot outside of how a lot of us were raised.
Wow.
But a
Yeah.
lot of us were raised with parents who had some hypocrisy. And so, but when you call attention to it and say you're going to do better, and you can fail again, it's fine, we're human, but you're going to try better. What that does is it builds up a skill called metacognition, thinking about your thinking, and you're modeling that for your child or for the child watching you. Sometimes admitting we were wrong and then saying, here's how I'm going to do better teaches so much more than us just being perfect. Remember, kids don't need perfect parents. They just need parents who show up and who are trying their best to be that person they want that kid to be. And we don't want perfect kids. How boring would that be? We want kids who are authentic and real, who make mistakes and rise and try again. And we can model that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting that you said, perfection, because I do think that we hold a different standard than we would want held to ourselves. And then one of my favorite books says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But how many of us really live with that type of empathy on a daily basis all the time? Like really putting ourselves in that other individual's shoes. That's the tough thing. Now, Joy, I know you do it all the time because you pick people
You're
up
so
on the side of the
stupid.
street. Now, you don't understand. Joy will pick up a homeless person on the side of the street and feed them. Joy Winchester is a modern day Mother Teresa. And don't ever, you can't argue that, Joy. You know you are. I mean, it's the truth. This is what you do. She really loves
Yeah.
everybody. She
It's
does it.
because they have amazing stories, and I love to learn people's stories, how they got to dark chapters. That's why my work with inmates is so fascinating as well. How you get to dark chapters, and then the redemption part, how you get out,
Mm.
right? But I think
So,
that's our challenge.
yeah,
That's our
yeah, it is.
challenge to ourselves every day is to be 1% better. And
Yeah.
if we can model that, what I want y'all to take away is as we do these, as we challenge each other, we can say hypocrisy is bad. Okay, that it is. It is. No one likes that. But what can you do that counteracts it? Because it's going to slide in. Things happen. So always remember that when you glitch, it's okay. Build that back and really work on being 1% better.
Mhm.
That's why I don't try not to cuss. There's no reason. I don't want to fail every day. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. But that is where see, I help poor people because I like to cuss. I'm just teasing. But that is that is where the power lies, and that's where kids can learn. I think that's the biggest thing. Also, I think it's great to challenge ourselves and to want to be different than
Absolutely.
we were raised. Not because our parents did a bad job, but because we see that something can be a tad better. And look, before we get off this piece, let me just tell you right now, the world is very different than it was 20, 30 years ago. Very different. And brain development hasn't changed. Child development hasn't changed. Morals, ethics, they haven't changed. You know what has changed? Society pushing down expectations on our children that's causing an overload. It's causing an anxiety of perfectionism. It's causing a depression because they can't feel like they can never be enough. It's causing a dysregulation because society is pushing in. And so it's up to the people around these children to be that bubble to help them navigate the world. Because let's be honest, if I have a question, I don't have to go ask grandma. I'll just Google it.
Right.
I've got the world in my pocket on my cell phone, but no one's teaching me how to handle that power.
Right.
So I say that because I see a lot of adults struggle with that too. And there's enough research that shows us that we got to put the phones down and do more of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the advice that I would give, when I work with young people, they usually come to me between the ages of 12 to around 16, give or take a year or so. The advice that I would give when it comes to combating this hypocrisy that we deal with over and over, the do as I say and not as I do. Many times when they come to me, they're already established. They have these values and they're established there. And people ask me, the parents even would ask me the same question. How do I change what I've been doing for so long? How do I change their behavior? Well, you start with you, first of all. One of the things that I've done in my life, because that's also been a challenge for me, I got two boys. I'm raising two young men, and that's always a challenge because they're like, they want to challenge dad. One of the things that has been most powerful for me has been to just stop and apologize. Hey, I know we've done things like this for so long. We've done things this way since you were small, but I really want to try some different things because this doesn't seem to be working for us. So, will you partner with me? Will you buy into this? And as I try, can you put forth the effort as well? And I've had a lot of success with that method, trying to explain to parents, You can't change the past, but we can use some tools today to enhance things and make them better than they were yesterday.
If you have a fishbowl and the water is dirty and the fish is sick, we don't take the fish out and give the fish medicine and put the fish back in the fishbowl.
Mhm.
We take the water and we clean the water, and the fish gets better. Because of how children's brains develop, the children are the fish and we are the water.
Mhm.
They can't tell many times where they start and we stop in regulation. That's why when we're agitated, they're agitated, right? This is exactly what you just said. You clean the fish bowl and the fish gets better. The adults have to clean up. You can't clean dirt with dirt. And the adults have to get themselves straight before they can get anybody else straight. And that's mentors who told me that. But that fishbowl analogy helps me remember I got to get the water clean if the fish has a chance. And the fish doesn't have a chance living in dirty water.
Joy, I think that's a great place right there to stop. You can't clean dirt. Dirt. That was a dog.
Now, that's my husband who heard us talking and decided now is when he's going to emerge to say hello.
Hey, that's it for today. Thanks so much for being here. And always remember, we say this all the time, be kind.
Be curious.
And keep showing up. That's it for now.
I got it.
I wrote a book. Go check it out. Now, the book is called How to Eat an Elephant. And the old adage, of course, is one bite at a time. It's a book about young people and how to work with youth today. But it's more about you, the adult, the person that cares for the young person, the advocate, the person that works with young people all the time. I want you to check it out.
Finally, a book written by someone who's walked the walk and not only talks the talk. Real talk. Deuces.